Okay, this is how I break down a pig. I wrestled the heavy bastard up here on the table. I don't have a lot of room. You can see we've done 3 other pigs, so we've got a lot of shit stacked here. But what I do first is after I get laid up there, I take the leaf lard out. So I'll go in here and I'll cut this just like that. I'll leave that up here. Keep the knife close. But you're supposed to be able to pull it, but I can't pull it all the time. Just work your hands in here. You mash that down. Raking and rolling like that, and then you can push that meat back right there, because you want to save that. You just keep rolling it off, and this is leaf lard. This is the best lard that you can get off of a pig. But you just take it right off like that, and then it comes off in this roll. That's your leaf lard right there. Then it goes on your fat pile. Now, everyone does it different. I do this here to eat. We don't do this here to sell. This is all for our own use. So it's done the easiest, most efficient way that you can do it. There's 50,000 different cuts that butchers make, and I'll tell you right now, they're all better than I am at doing this here. But once or twice a year I do it. I do it as quickly and as efficiently as I possibly can. So I'll make 2 cuts now, and what I do is I trim this here out a little bit. There's some glands and shit right here that I don't eat. I try and cut all the glands out. I'll trim all this out from when we butchered. That won't go in there. I've got a pretty good scrap bucket, and yes, we probably waste more than most, but we've got dogs, and so we cook all that right here. So there's 1, 2, 3 bones, and then I just go right across like that there with a saw. Then I come down here to the peak in the pelvis, and I cut right through there. And that's going to be the 2 cuts that I'll make. Now I'll use my breaking saw, and I'll bust this right here. You got to be careful so you don't saw the table in 2. And then you get this here on that 3rd rib. So you got 1, 2, 3, and between the 3rd and the 4th rib is where I'm going to cut. And it'll be a little bit angled, but and what it does is then you don't hit the shoulder blade, but that comes off in a big shoulder chunk. That's a rump, that's a ham right there, but it'll come off like this, and you'll have this one big piece right here. Then you can hang them up to get them back out of the way. This in here is a ham. You can make a shoulder ham out of that. These are hams here. They're all the rear hams. All right, now I'll just take a knife and I'll separate this. If it's a pig that's been skinned, it won't have the hide on it, and they cut a hell of a lot easier. But it's a lot cleaner when you scrape one, because you're dipping them in hot water, and it's got soap in it, so it kind of washes everything. And where we live, there's a lot of sand, and so we're able to stop a lot of dirt from coming in here, because basically you're giving that pig a bath. I had a hook. There it is. You're giving that pig a bath as you're scraping and butchering. Now that can go back up and get out of the way. You notice we're kind of tight for space here. Now I'll take this here part, and I'll come right down this here. Let me scrape that. Now I'll come where I think my pork chop needs to be. You come out too far, you got too much bone and it's hard to wrap. Get in too much, you'll lose a lot of meat. So about right there is where I'll cut that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it here, and then I'll come up, and then I'll take the knife and then I'll cut it back. So it'll make kind of a funny cut there. But you got to cut those ribs, and it's too big and too heavy and too awkward to put on the bandsaw. So I'll use a breaking saw. So now I'll go right here, and this is about where I want my cut, right in through there. So I'm cut it because my blade's not long enough, and then I'll just get on this. And that's all I do right there. You can do this here with a hand saw too. It's just faster with this. Now I'm going to cut right here because this stake is going to get wider as it goes out this way. So it's going to kind of V out right here. So I'll go out like that, come back, and there's my cut right there. So now I have to get in there and cut the skin. If you skin the pig, well then you don't have the rind on it, and this here cuts easier. Now we'll take that piece right there, and that goes to the bandsaw. That'll be cut up. That's your pork chops. That's basically rib steaks and T-bones right there. Now you've got this here, which will be the bacon, but it's still got bone in it. Like I said, when I do this here a couple times a year, and I don't want to fool with it. I don't want to make 15 different cuts. I want this to go as fast as I can so I can get it done and get out of the meat room here. It would be fun just to be able to come in here and fool with it, but I can't. I have to hustle right along. So I just skin the ribs right out of it here. And I think that's the actual spare ribs right there. And then we'll either pressure this here, boil it, and then cook it with sauerkraut and have spare ribs and sauerkraut, or we'll just grill it. A little bone right there, if I can get around it. There, see it? That little bone. Then there's your ribs. They come out, and you can trim it off. You can take this here off. That'll go into that'll go for your burger or your sausage. And this here, now I'll just take a mallet and a cleaver, and I'll take and lay it in between each one of these ribs, set it on there, and then take that mallet, pound the cleaver through it until I chop all those till they're an individual, and then leave this here portion there. Then we put it on the barbecue, and that whole big piece, I've got a whole bunch of them right there. Alright, now I'll take this here and usually trim them up a little bit here. That can go for render lard right there. This here can go for render lard. And there's my bacon. I could shorten it up just a little bit here, kind of square this here end up right here, and see what the bacon's going to look like there, because it's mostly fat at this here end, and it won't get into good meat until about right in this area here. See, so you can see that there's a lot of fat there. This is basically what my bacon is going to look like right here. There's one right there, and there's the other side that I'd already cut off right there. And this in here, I cut the hook out of it. So you take it to square them up, you go like this. And then I'll take and when they've got a hide on them, well then I'll inject them. I'll use a salt nitrate, and I'll inject them, leave them overnight, and then I'll pack them in the sugar cure. That's just scrap. So that there will go for sausage, that there will chop up and render, and it will go for lard, and we'll make soap and cook in it. Alright, now I have that bacon right there. There's probably, I don't know, there's probably 30 pounds. Nah, 25 pounds. They're probably 25 pounds a piece. Yeah, they're pretty easy, 25 pounds. And there we are. That's it. This one right here, now I'll take that there and I'll either debone the whole thing, make a burger out of it, or I'll cut it this way, lay it on the bandsaw like this, and then cut steaks out of it that way and make shoulder steaks. And I'll cut it all the way down to here if I'm going to make steaks. This here gets cut that way on the bandsaw, And then the rear part here, I'll take and trim this back to about right there, just in the center of that pelvic bone right there, and that will be my ham. So when they do, here's a small one. That's where they'll be. Now I haven't trimmed these hams. I'll take and round them all off where they look nice and everything. But these here, we're a little bit smaller hogs here. This here was a larger one. But that's how I break one down. It's fast, it's easy. If you're gonna do this at home, it's not a big deal. You can do this on your kitchen table. You don't have to be a butcher. You don't have to know all them cuts. I've got a power saw, a breaking saw. It's a well saw. We use it to split everything with. You can do it with a hand saw. You just take and mark your line right there, and then you just kind of cut it at an angle like this here with your saw, and you use a 18-inch blade saw, and you hand saw it across. I've done it a lot of times like that there, but the breaking saw is nice to have, but it's not mandatory. You don't have to have it. A guy can break one of these here down pretty quick and easy, and then the bandsaw is nice. Now to cut steaks, you take your handsaw and you just cut down through the bone, then take the knife and cut it off, and you can do that, and you can make the pork chops or steaks just like the butchers do. Just takes a little longer. All the mechanical stuff, mechanized equipment I should say, is just faster. It's just faster. It's a little easier on you, and it's a little faster. Alright, I hope you got something out of this. Thanks for watching.